It is another edition of the On the Mic podcast, and thank God he's got a good background because I certainly don't. He's also got an undefeated record in his professional career, coming off a big win at Bellator 256 over Caspel last week. He's the one and only Jornel Lugo. How are you, sir?
What's going on, man? How's it going?
Good. So I'm gonna already snitch on myself because in previous stops in which I've worked at and I've seen fighters do interviews, some will say I get intimidated, but man, you jumped on the Zoom, no shirt. I'm like, oh man, like he's gonna do this no shirt. Like I've seen fighters do it, and it's like a silent pet peeve of mine. I'm like, yo, like I'm cool with it, but like I've seen other people do it, and I'm just like, come on, man. Like, but thank you, I appreciate that.
Yeah, I thought I had a phone call meeting today, so I came to the pool area, and I'm sitting here, and then I'm like, wait a minute, it's a Zoom call. And I had no shirt on, so I was like, all right, let me get the shirt. I had to take it off my wife's back.
it makes me feel better. I don't care what you do. It just makes me feel better because, you know, I'm a single guy, right? So I'll be out like trying to talk to girls, tell them what I do. And they're like, oh, let me see your last interview. So if I go out tonight and I show an interview with you and you got no shirt on, they're going to be like, how come he looks like an adult and you look like a kid? So, you know, it just helps me. But no, man, in all seriousness, you're coming off a great win against Caspel. First and foremost, you were talking. Now, let me also admit, I wasn't contacted about how to get in contact with you before your fight. That's the only reason why we didn't do a pre-fight interview. Moving forward, you should be hearing from me before every fight. Man, like I love the energy you carried with you, not only in the cage, but around the fight, especially after the fight. How are you feeling now a week after that performance?
I feel good, man. My shins were the only thing that kind of like were giving me a little bit of problems towards the latter half of the fight because I threw a lot of leg kicks and calf kicks. But the swellings went down. They're just pretty much sore. They're still sore, but the swelling has gone down. So in a couple of weeks, I should be back to normal, you know. But besides that, everything else is fine. My face is fine. I mean, obviously, I only got punched 4 times. Honestly, it wasn't tough, man. It was an easy fight to me.
And obviously that's what you want, especially early on in your career. I mean, you're super young, 25 years old. And man, I just went back this morning and watched it for about the 5th time, just your fight specifically. And I'm just curious, have you gone back and watched it and listened to the broadcast at all?
Yeah, I watched it and I listened to the thing that they were saying. And one of the things that I found interesting was when Big John was like, that Caspel has the better wrestling, you know, and maybe he does. I don't know. But in the fight, you saw he got 0 takedowns and I got 3. So, right. You know, sometimes it's not about
perfect fighter mentality right there. You were listening for what did they say wrong? I was like, let me bring this into the interview. Man, they hyped you up to a whole nother level. I mean, they were talking about how deep and precise those calf kicks were. And I want to start there. Like, that's such a thing, right? Like you hear other commentators and other promotions, not pointing out any names, Joe Rogan, talk about how they've become such a special skill to kind of, you know, learn in this sport, especially over the last few years. And they've become so effective over these last few years. Being young, man, like at what point in your career did you recognize what the entire MMA world was recognizing and realizing like, this is a technique that could really help either finish a fight, start a fight, or really help me gain my control in a fight?
I would say, so I've obviously known about the calf kicks for a while. But for me, I do a couple of different things. It depends on like who I'm fighting with, is whether I'll use the calf kicks or not, you know, because leg kicks are still very effective and there's pros and cons to both of them. The pros to the calf kicks are that they take effect faster than leg kicks take effect. You know, eventually the leg kicks will break you down too, and you won't be able to stand on that side. You have to switch leads and everything. But the calf kicks, it happens very fast. But the downside of using the calf kicks are that, well, to me personally, I feel like it hurts a lot more. Like it's a much more bony area, and a lot of times you'll hit like the side of the knee area a lot. And even though you're landing them, they still hurt. You know, it's not like leg kicks. You can kick legs a lot longer before they start to hurt yourself as well. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I think the pros and the cons are between the two. Also, sometimes it depends how a person's standing. So if somebody stands very heavy on that front foot, a lot of times you might be able to kick the leg, because if you try to throw that calf kick, you might crash into the leg, and it hurts yourself a lot, you know. Sometimes if a person checks high, like, you know, like in Muay Thai, when they check high,
yeah, yep,
like they pick up the leg, that's when it's a good time to throw calf kicks, because the foot is off the ground, so you can still kick the calf, and it's very effective. So there's a lot of different ways to use calf kicks, and I wouldn't say it's the end all be all, like, oh, everybody has to use these 100% of the time. I think it's just situational.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I'll commend you, you know, watching other interviews you've done, you know, since your fight. You know, a lot of commenters, like people who are watching the video, are talking about your fight IQ. I know James Lynch said you might have an analyst job in the future. I would obviously agree with him on that. But, man, like, they talked about your takedown defense in round 2. They talked about how good your takedowns were late in the fight in round 3. But for me, the thing that really stood out was just one word that Big John had to say about you, and it was special. And he used that word special about you 6 fights into your pro career in one of Bellator's deepest, most talented divisions, the bantamweight division. What does that mean to you? Not saying that, oh, Big John said it, I should be the next title contender, but I know you're someone who kind of takes the more patient and learn and continue to grow approach. But when you hear that so early on, like, that's got to mean something to you.
Yeah, I didn't really even, like, he must have said it, but I don't know. I didn't really hear that, to be honest. I didn't catch it. Or I guess I didn't think about it, really. To me, it's not a, like, well, I think that's what's up. What I like is that he's recognizing the work that I put in, and also he recognizes the fact that I'm not like a one-dimensional fighter. You know, like, there's a lot of guys, and what I mean by one-dimensional, you could be like a great stand-up fighter and still be one-dimensional. Like, I'm multi-dimensional in multiple facets of fighting. So, like, even in my stand-up, I'm multi-dimensional. You get what I'm saying? I don't mean just like I'm a grappler and a stand-up fighter. But within my grappling, I can grapple different types of ways. And within my stand-up, I can stand different types of ways. I can stand in both orthodox, southpaw. I could fight inside. I could fight long on the outside. I make adjustments. So I think I appreciate the fact that he notices that I'm skilled in a lot of different ways. And to be honest, people haven't even seen all the, you know, and a lot of people always say this. A lot of people always say, oh, this is just a tip of the iceberg, or like, you haven't seen all the tools I have. But like, literally, like, I got adjustments for so many different things. So like, in this fight, all you see me throw was a jab and a calf kick. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's cool, but I mean, you didn't. What if he would have been pressuring me? What would I have done if he was pressuring me? What would I have done if he tried to shoot a lot? What would I have done if he was a big kicker, or, you know, a big puncher? Like, there's different things that how I would respond to different situations that eventually, as I fight more times, more people will bring to the table. You know what I'm saying? So I like the fact that from the little things he does see, he can tell that I'm a good fighter.
Yeah, and I think that's what stands out to me. You know, I'm not, you know, going to put anyone out there, but I know one thing that bothers me when I watch other people do fighter interviews, you know, they want to kind of set it up as the fighter we saw in the last fight. That's who you are. It's like, well, you don't know that. I mean, the fight could have been a first round knockout. What if it was 3 rounds? What if it was, you know, there could have been wrestling? Like, you know, you never know. I would say you have a better idea of who a fighter is overall, you know, complete game, 20 fights, 25 fights into their professional career. So I never look at one fight and go, that's Jornel Lugo. There he is right there. That guy right there, just jabbing calf kick. Because, and then what are you going to do 3 months from now? What if you're throwing spinning shit, right? Like what if you're just throwing stuff? So now I'm like, oh wait, I told everybody he was jabs, you know, and calf kicks, and now he's jumping off the cage and throwing head kicks. Like, it's just totally different. So I respect that out of you. But man, one thing I gotta bring up on a personal note. Not only did you hear what Big John was saying, and there's no crowd. The number one thing that stood out to me in your fight, outside of your fight, is a good friend of yours who you couldn't ignore because he's so damn loud, is Mike Kimball. I still got issues with Mike. Mike and I were supposed to play Warzone on Xbox like months ago during quarantine. Never hit me back. But nah, man, like, what is it like having that? I know you guys go way back. I know you have a great relationship with him, and sometimes those lines can get a little blurred. I know he came in. I know he's no longer with the Bellator right now, but now you're here, and no bitterness from him. Just jump right back in your corner. Like, what is that relationship with Mike like for you?
Yeah, it's a good relationship. He's there for every single one of my fights. I think since my I want to say my second to last amateur fight. No, it's from my last amateur fight until now. So for the last 7 fights, he's been in my corner, and it's been good. And now it's like a little bit of a gimmick that's going on with him in the corner, going crazy. And it's funny because like that's half of the attention now when I fight. Half of the attention is not even on the fight; it's on the corner. Like, yo, he got a swoley. One more again. Yes, sir. So people are like, now they're like, seeing like, oh, this is the kid who has the crazy corner,
Right. He's like, Mike Kimball's like the Bellator James Krause. like,
yeah, it's funny, man. I think it's cool though. I mean, some people hate it and some people can get distracted by it, but for me, I only pick up what's important anyway. So all the talk and the extra stuff that he's saying, it's not for me.
No,
he's doing his job. This is war, and we're attacking in multiple ways.
That's a sign of a great fighter, though, man. And look, I'm not here to just give you a hype job while you're here. I these are the things that I think and feel like to say that when I'm talking about a fight that was just held in front of no crowd, and literally that's all you can hear. Like I've done regional MMA. I've been at big shows. I've been at Bellator shows. I've been in crowds with or fights with like very limited crowd. Like, you can still hear everything. And so for you to say, yeah, I hear it, but I don't take it in. I just let it go in one ear and out the other. In the middle of a fight, man, like I've got to ask you just to transition. How did you become not just the fighter that you are, but the person you are? You have good charisma, good character, and there's really no distractions. And we'll talk about that in a second. But for you to be able at this age to cut out all the outside during the fight and before the fight and after the fight, like how like what made you this guy?
I would say probably for the most part taking notes, man. I do a lot of studying, and I've studied a lot of things from fighting down to like just like personal development, like self-help shit. So I would say that I did a lot of studying. There's a guy named Jim Rohn that I looked up to a lot, and I still do look up to a lot, and I study. And there's a lot of guys like you'll probably hear like Tony Robbins. It's not my favorite, but he was the mentor of Tony Robbins, this guy named Jim Rohn. So that pretty much really helped me as far as like making my goals and shit like that. So like I wrote down my goals, and I'm really consistent and I'm really disciplined to making sure that I get to where I want to go. Because a good quote, he said, how could you hit the mark if you don't even have a mark, or something like that? Like, if you don't have a goal, how could you reach a goal, So to me, these things are very important. And that's what I try to do is I bring that into fighting too. I try to focus on what's most important in the fight. And what's most important in the fight is actually not the physical things that most people think it is, Like when it comes to training and fighting, people always want to relate it to like physicality, punching, kicking, and being fast, being strong. But really, all of that falls apart in the face of adversity or in the face of like real trouble. So let's say if I'm real strong and fast, what if I'm going to get somebody that's stronger and faster?
No, dude, you just took this interview in a whole different way, because I'm very big on having upstairs, clear and concise and all that you do. So now, like, and I learned from every person, every fighter, every coach that I talk to, not just about the game, but about the mental game. So I got to ask, because I'm a guy who believed it worked, tried it, and I was just like, why am I doing this? The whole writing it down works for you. Is that what you said? And then also, is it writing it on the phone, or is it writing it on a piece of paper and putting that paper somewhere you see it every day?
No, yeah, for me, I write it down on my phone. But the reason why it is good though is because you don't really run out of space on your phone. So you're always going to pass by the things that you've already written down. So you're going to see it very often, especially if you take notes a lot. So you're always going to be running into it. But yeah, I don't think it makes too much of a difference whether you write it on paper or whether you write it on the phone. Only thing I like about the phone is that obviously it's like a little bit like the wear and tear. Like if you put it on paper or to put it in a notebook, how those notebooks become like real damaged and dusty looking. Like the ink or the lead starts to get through the paper, and that's the part where I don't really like too much about writing it on paper. But writing things down in general, as far as learning, is a great tool. And teaching as well. So writing it down helps you learn it, and teaching helps you learn as well. So those are big tools that I use as well.
I know you teach at your gym, and I want to get back to kind of what you were just saying though. But when you talk about the teaching aspect, again, at 25, man, like there's not many people at your age that have it figured out this quickly at your age. And to realize, like, I know you quit your job as a truck driver and you're like, I'm going full time into fighting. And what was that?
I got fired.
Oh, you got fired?
Yeah.
I was telling you quit. But we'll go with you made a better life choice. You made the better life choice to focus on fighting full time, man. And you also recognize from everything you do inside and out that you had to teach in order to learn as well. Where do you find that I guess like kind of the reward into teaching when you have a career? Like some people at 25 would be like, I'll teach when I get there. You're like, nah, I'm going to start teaching now because I can still learn in that process.
Yeah. But well, first of all, I'm not teaching in a format where it's like I'm running a class and I'm just teaching people and I'm walking around helping people. It's more so like I'm training, and in order for people to train with me, I have to show them what I'm doing and explain it to them. You get what I'm saying? So it's not like I'm not running a class or anything. I pretty much my MMA sessions it was me and my boy Jersey. We train, and other people pretty much join us, and it gets bigger and bigger. Some days a lot of people, some days it's just me and him. You know, so that's pretty much my training. My training is me and my boy Jersey, and others who join us. But for them to do the things I do, like I said before, I have to show them what I'm doing, and not only show them, but like for me personally, a big thing about teaching, because I think, remember, once again, I think it's a big mental thing. It's getting someone to believe in certain things. So like, let's say if I show you a technique and I can't show you any footage on it, sparring or in a fight, from me or anybody else, it's like, why should you believe me?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Or why should you really like try that move, you know? So like a big thing with me when I'm teaching is, this is probably off topic, but this is just a fun fact. When I'm teaching, I like to sell people pretty much. Like I want to get you to believe what I believe. You get what I'm saying? And the way I do that is I always want to show proof, whether it be me sparring or me fighting or somebody else sparring and somebody else fighting. Because I'm a firm believer in everything works. Like even the dumbest karate move you could think of, the crazy spinning techniques, everything does work. It's just not everything works on everyone at every moment. It can work. It just depends on who you're fighting against and what's going on, like what situation you're in. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. So that's a big part of me teaching, is pretty much showing application. Like the jab, for example, you could show my mom a jab today, but will my mom be able to pull off the jab correctly and know when to use it, why to use it, where to use it? No. And that's the problem with a lot of things in fighting, is people don't know how to put things in their proper places in fighting. And that's what holds people.
Well, next time I get into a bar altercation, I'll have to hit you up right beforehand and be like, calf kick right now? Like, what do I do, Jornel? What do I do? You're like, hey, he's 3 times bigger than you. Just walk away. Just close your tab, walk away, go home, go to bed. But no, man. So moving forward, I know you said, ideally 3, maybe 4 times to fight a year is good and ideal for you. Where are you looking at next? I had a brief conversation during media week this week for tonight's event, Bellator 257, and talking to some fighters about, like, yeah, you're not ranked, or maybe you should be ranked, or your opponent thinks you should be ranked. And we understand, like, the rankings are new. So there are going to be other fighters who may state their case 3 weeks, 2 months from now, and it's going to change the rankings. But you're at number 8. You're right there. I mean, really, from the champion down to about yourself, but the bigger names right there. I mean, you're right there. But all the names that people know as like Bellator, like contenders, that's like 6 through the champion in your division. So, dude, you're right there. Like, what's next for you?
Yeah, next I would like to fight Leandro Higo. He's real. He's got a lot of experience, but he's one of the guys that I would like to fight. Also, Brian Moore, he's ranked number 10 right now. That's somebody that I would like to fight. His opponent that he's about to fight against, Eric, I forget his last name. I think his name is Eric. I would like to fight him too. Any of those guys, and these guys are mostly all in the top 10. Leandro Higo is number 6 actually. So I'm looking to fight one of those guys. And I think if I can go in there and make it look easy, because I will. I feel like I'm gonna go in there and I'm gonna find the recipe to beat all these guys, you know, but not just find the recipe to beat them, and not just beat them, but I gotta make it look easy, you know. I'm gonna make it look easy. When that does happen, I think I'll start to get more respect. You know what I'm saying? Like right now, people respect me, but until I do it to them, and then when I do it to the other guys that are higher above that, you know, the top 5, and when I make those guys look easy, then I'm gonna get a little bit more respect on my name.
What's it like having now Bellator really kind of push you out there? Obviously, they got the new platform with Showtime. You know, they're really a promotion that gets behind the younger fighters. Yeah, you still got some of your veterans, but it feels like they want to get you in front of the camera right now. You know, there's now after the fight. I know before the fight there was a little like, where's my pre-fight interviews? Like I said, you got one here now moving forward, but to have a promotion that really believes in you, which is something I heard a lot of this week, you know, credit to Bellator. What is it like for you being so young in your career and being like, they're behind me, I just got to go out and do my job?
Yeah, that's what's up. I mean, to me, it's just dope because, you know, I spent most of my life, the last 10 years, 11 years of training and fighting, and I was a ghost, you know, just until a few months ago, people even knew I existed, you know. So to me, it's a long time coming, and I appreciate it. You know, people notice my hard work.
You know, without trying to get as cliche as most, you know, interviews, like, you know, how are you feeling? All this, like, man, I just want to know, like, you know, or not how many times or what's your schedule in 2021. I'll just ask you this, like, where does your story of you and who you are in your career, like, where does it go from here? I mean, I think you carry so many great qualities about you, from, you know, just the way you talk, the way you can break down a fight, the way you focus on, you know, the outside stuff and the mental aspect of life and the game. Like, where does your story go from here at 25 years old, rank inside the top 10 in Bellator, you know, in the early part of 2021?
So yeah, what I want to do is, like, this is my goal, basically. Like, my goal and what I foresee is I want to be like a great fighter, and then I want to turn into like an analyst or maybe like a commentator or something like that. I want to work in the game, and I want to be respected as like one of the people where you can, I don't even care about saying like one of the greats, but one of the people that you could really look back to and be like, this guy had a lot of good stuff that we can study and learn from. You know what I'm saying? Like, I said this before, but like people like Sugar Ray Leonard, Marvin Hagler, Floyd, obviously, Sugar Ray Robinson, Muhammad Ali, these old timers, Willie Pep, Salvador Sanchez, like these old timers that you can look back and you can study them online and be like, damn, look what he did here. Look what he did there. I just want to be one of those guys. But not only that, though, also I want to get into commentary when I'm done too. And I just want to help people learn the sport and stuff like that. And I think I could definitely do that with all the stuff that I've learned over the years.
Well, I know you're at the pool, man, so I don't want to take too much of your time. Very much happy for you, and a big congratulations on your last fight. I think I'll be the first one in your DMs this weekend trying to learn more things, and you can teach me the game from the outside, because I know there's a lot of people in the media side that act like they know the game, but you'd probably get sick if I told you when it comes to covering, you know, certain fight cards. I'll start on Sunday, even if the card doesn't start till Saturday, and I'll go back and I'll watch a fighter's last 3, 4, 5 fights multiple times. And then like people are like, hey, it's fight week, what are you doing? I'm like, leave me alone. I got stuff to do. So yeah, I try to learn the game. Right now where I'm at, gyms aren't really open right now. You know, nevertheless, the Chicagoland area doesn't have a lot of MMA anyways. You know, there's really no promotions out here anymore. So it's rough. So, you know, I try to learn the game from a media side, from the technical side, you know, by constant film repetition. So, you know, credit to you, man, but, you know, somebody who wants to, you know, teach everybody that you could be hearing from me, but no, Jornel, man, very, very happy for you. And like I said, before any any fight you have moving forward, you'll hear from me pre and post, and really appreciate your time. Any friend of Mike Kimball is a friend of mine. I just wish the damn man would answer his Xbox when I invite him to a game.
No doubt, man.
Thanks, Jornel.
You got it. Holla.